This is the EWN Podcast Network.
Ever wondered how you could turn your side hustle into a full-time gig and spend more time together?
Hi, I'm Vicki, a #1 best-selling author.
And I'm John, a retired Los Angeles police officer. Welcome to Dig the Well, where we help couples navigate the world of business.
We've been married for 35 years, and because we built a successful side business, John retired 9 years earlier than he originally planned from the Los Angeles Police Department after 25 years on the job. Now we spend more time together, and we want to help couples like you do the same.
Join us as we help you overcome common obstacles, and we show you how to make extra income without sacrificing family time.
Ready to dig deep and build your well? Let's get started. Welcome everyone back to Dig the Well podcast. Vicki Downey here. John is taking a day off because I wanted some very special time with my new girlfriend, Khryzza Kelley, and I'm going to introduce Khryzza in just a second, but excited that you're here. Want to make sure that you know what this podcast is all about. If you heard our intro, you know that it is all about entrepreneurship, whether you have a business or you don't, whether you're thinking about starting one, looking into it, know nothing about it. That's what this podcast is all about, to know that there are people that can guide you and teach you how to do that, even just listening to a free podcast. And I think that's pretty cool. So I'm excited because Khryzza and I met at a networking group, and that should be a clue. If you're not networking, you should be. If you are an entrepreneur, in both of our opinion, I see you nodding, Khryzza. Yeah. And it's been just a blessing. We were chatting before we started the recording for both of us. And, entrepreneurs are kindred spirits for sure. We think differently. We go out in the world differently. We have bigger expectations, in my opinion, of what we're going to get out of life. And I'm really excited. So without further ado, I want to do justice to you, Khryzza. I'm going to read your bio here. Not all of it, everybody. And you can see all of it in the show notes. So be sure to go check that out. But here goes. So Khryzza Kelley is a purpose to profit strategy architect, entrepreneur, and advocate who bridges global communities through equitable and ethical business practices. Guided by her belief that advocacy fuels innovation, she designs strategies that empower underrepresented voices while driving measurable social and financial impact. I love your choice of words. As the head of CoWorq Group, Khryzza leads 2 ventures that model how purpose-driven businesses can be both sustainable and profitable. Love that, Khryzza. So welcome to Dig the Well. So glad you're here.
Thank you. And it's an honor and it's a pleasure to chat with you. I was telling Vicki before we started meeting her and joining that networking group for women has been one of the highlights of my year. So I'm so happy to be here.
That makes me so happy. And if you're wondering what that networking group is, it is eWomen Network. There are several networking groups in Southern California, and both of us belong to several, if not more than just several. But eWomen, I'm the managing director of. So if you're ever wanting to find a very professional, focused, driven group of women on a mission to help $1 million. 1 million women each earn $1 million in annual revenue. That's our mission. So join us. So check us out. But yeah, so we met, and I think we met somewhere else. And then I invited you to eWomen. Yeah. Wonderful. And, the first time I met you, you were full of energy. And that's where I felt like, gosh, we're so similar. Because, right? We might be different ages, but so similar. And my husband is Japanese. half Japanese, and Khryzza is an amazing Filipino, born in the Philippines, right, Khryzza?
Yep, correct.
Yeah, yeah, and her two companies, you just heard me read the bio, just sound so amazing, and they are, and I can't wait to dive into that. So that's what I really wanted to do first, Khryzza, was ask you about each one because you have two. Yeah. So tell us about CoWorq. Tell us what CoWorq is and what do you do?
So what is CoWorq? CoWorq is an ethical and equitable outsourcing company. So we connect small to medium business owners, mostly women-owned businesses, to large corporations like Jollibee. So for all of you who loves a fried chicken, Jollibee is also one of our clients. We connect them with their remote teams and virtual assistants. Our virtual assistants can be anybody. It could be a web designer, social media manager, executive assistant, because virtual assistant is a general term. All while making sure, though, that our virtual assistants are also getting taken care of. Because for those of you who do not know, a lot of Filipino virtual assistants in the Philippines are still getting paid as low as $1 an hour. Um, we deserve better than that. We can do better than that. And as a business owner and as an HR professional, when I was still in the corporate world, I always believe in the saying that if you take care of your people, your people will take care of your business. So that's really the focal point of CoWorq, making sure that you get the best virtual assistant out there, but also making sure that they are taken care of.
I'm so glad you clarified all of that because I do feel like I'm glad you said that VA, virtual assistant, is a broad term because I was so confused
Yeah.
about it and social media manager and all the things you just said. So I'm so glad you clarified that, but also making it equitable, paying them more. But I want to touch on that. You're not still not paying them $20 an hour where that could break the bank of a new entrepreneur, right? But what is the normal rate? I know you have a deal going on, but what is the normal rate for you?
Yes. When I started this business, I look at my competitors and they're all offering full-time virtual assistants, right? So I thought, okay, I'll do the same. And then when I started networking, I realized because there's a lot of small business owners who came up to me and said, Khryzza, I don't need a full-time VA or I cannot afford a full-time VA. Do you have a virtual assistant who can work with me for 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week, or when I go big, then I can increase the hours later on. And I said, sure, why not? At the end of the day, you need help and our virtual assistants need clients. And it's such a win-win solution for everybody. So for some of you or for some of our listeners who haven't hired a virtual assistant yet, we start at 5 hours a week. That is 5 hours for a solopreneur. If you're new in the business world, that's already huge. 5 hours means you can pick up your kids to school, you can drop them off, you can have a longer dinner, longer lunch, you can have 5 hours of rest. That's a lot of hours of free time that you can delegate to your VA. But if you need them for more than 20 hours a week, it's only $10 per hour.
Wow, that is outstanding. Yes. So right. So $10 an hour for 10 hours a week, you said? So 100
For
bucks a week.
Yeah, for 20 hours a week. But if you need them for
20.
just
Okay.
5 hours, it's $12 an hour, which is around 250 a month.
Right, right. So, yeah, and that is so doable. And if you entrepreneurs listening really think about that, how many times have you been coached? And if you haven't, you should be coached on this. What is your time worth? Ask yourself that. What is your time, right? A lot of us will put ourselves at $300 an hour. So,
Oh yeah, yeah,
or
start now.
150, right? 150 or 100. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, having a virtual assistant is kind of a no-brainer if you think about it, especially on tasks that you don't love. Is
Oh,
that what you hear too, that a lot of entrepreneurs will use a virtual assistant for maybe something they're not crazy about? Like a lot of older, maybe boomers don't love social media, right?
exactly, exactly. And
So, yeah.
I want to touch too, like as entrepreneurs, you have your own zone of genius. You have an area where you're most passionate about, you're skilled at, you're the best in the room and doing that specific task or whatever. That's your zone of genius. My zone of genius as an entrepreneur is sales. I love talking to people. I love going to networking events. That's why I'm always at your networking events. Like, I love going
Exactly.
there. I love putting myself and putting my company out there. That's my zone of genius. Anything outside of that, I either delegate or automate, and that's where the virtual assistant will come into play.
Love that. So any of you like scratching your head going, I could learn all this, but why, why learn how to do it? Why not concentrate on my zone of genius and hire CoWorq to,
Yeah, exactly.
help you out? Yeah.
Yeah,
I absolutely love that. And, I have to say, I have known a lot of people that have told me, well, I just go to the Philippines and somebody gives me a link from a friend it's $5 an hour. But I have to agree with you. How sad for them. That's the ones where they're only making $1 an hour. And
Mhm.
I'm sure $1 goes a lot further in the Philippines, but not that far. Seriously, I'm sure it
Definitely.
doesn't go that far. So I love that you have a bigger way of thinking, yet not breaking the bank of, the entrepreneurs here. And that's great. I was going to bring up too that Khryzza, I didn't mention this, but she was recognized, her company, as Small Business of the Year by the Asian Business Association of Orange County in 2024, you guys. So clearly she's doing things right. Or they're going to vet the people that are, they're looking into giving that recognition to. And that's when I heard that, I was so impressed, Khryzza. I really was. Yeah. And I've been to that group. I'm not Asian. We talked about this,
Your
but
husband is.
my husband is. So I kind of hang on his coattails sometimes. Funny story is, I just gravitate to Asian women as
Oh, I did not know that.
friends. Yeah. I think it must be because my husband, because the minute I say, oh, well, my husband's half Japanese, then they're instantly my friend. It's so
Yep, yep.
funny. So it's funny. And I must attract Asian women because I don't know. I just have a ton of friends that are, and another funny story. This has nothing to do with your business. Sorry, but it's just funny. My kids, well, growing up, I learned to cook rice. And I don't know if Filipinos cook a
Yep,
ton of rice, but the
yep, we
Japanese
do.
do. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I also learned not to assume all cultures are the same. So believe me,
Have different
that's
kind of
why.
fry.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So anyway, one of my daughter's friends asked me, Mrs. Downey, do you cook rice with every meal? And I had to think, and I'm like, as a matter of fact, I do. Like it was kind of a
Oh,
funny
wow.
question, but I did. Like when they were growing up, I ditched the potatoes, which is a typical American thing, and I
Oh,
love white rice. I love white
yep.
rice. So anyway, it's kind of funny. And then I think my answer to her, this is why my daughter laughs about that story. I said, actually, yes, us Asians, I call myself us. And I wasn't meaning any, I'm just like, yeah,
No,
us
you're
Asians.
Asian now.
I know.
I'm not Asian.
It's really funny, but yeah, and I love white rice. Are you, just side note, are you white rice or fried rice kind of girl? Like if you had
I
a
love
choice.
white rice because I am a type of eater that I don't want my sauces to mess up with my rice. Like my husband is
Right?
the he can put everything in a plate, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love my rice on this side and then my other food on the other side. I
Yeah.
love I love white rice, but there's time that I am craving for fried rice, but white.
Yes. Yes. I'm with you. Yeah, I'm the same when we go to Panda Express or,
Yeah,
a
yeah,
really nice or a nice restaurant. It's always white rice for all of us. But you're right. Every once in a while, I'm craving fried rice. So yeah. Anyway, funny. All right. So that's just amazing. And I've talked to you. I plan to use your company. I haven't yet. But I have some big projects coming up and I'm going to reach out because I just think it's wonderful that you're taking care of your people. And you're absolutely right when you said, you were raised to believe and to know that when you and take care of your employees, they take care of the company, hence you, and that goes for all entrepreneurs. John and I
yeah.
have always felt that way too. So,
Mhm.
yeah,
And
but
yeah, I want to expound on that a little bit too, Vicky. Like, what do we mean by we take care of people, right? Because it doesn't only mean that we pay them more, because that only goes so far. It's
Mm,
not all about the money. Sometimes, most of the time, in a practical reality, yes, it is
yeah,
about the pay, but there's more than that, especially if you want to retain high performing employees or virtual assistants. So what
right.
we do in CoWorq is that we do monthly coaching with them. We have monthly coaching with them, where they're in an intimate group of their fellow virtual assistants. We check in on them. We also have a monthly town hall where, by the way, an e-women sister was our speaker just yesterday, teaching our Filipino virtual assistants how to write in the age of AI. So that's
Ooh.
that if you join eWomen, and that eWomen sister is actually all the way from Canada. So she taught our virtual assistants to be smarter in writing in the age of AI. So we do that every month. We have different speakers who are also entrepreneurs here in the United States, in Canada, and in the Western countries, really. We also do have employee events, so that they feel a sense of community, because I think you and I can relate to this, because we, in essence, our business are remote, and being
Mm,
remote can be isolating. So we provide that sense of community with our virtual assistants as well. And there's more like benefits. If they go to a certain coffee shop in the Philippines, they get discounts because they are part of CoWorq. So there's a lot of creative benefits that comes into play. And also, I trained them myself. And I'm an HR professional. I'm a leadership development manager when I was still in corporate America. I trained CEOs for a living before I became an entrepreneur. And the same training that CEOs get from me is the same training that your virtual assistants get. And I'm not $5 an hour. So it's exactly the value of money that you get when you work with us. And that's what
yeah.
we mean by taking care of our people.
I love that. I love I'm so glad you elaborated on that because it's absolutely true. Yeah, that you're educating them, you're helping them with sense of community, like they belong in this company, right? And they have brothers and sisters within the company. I love that. Love it, love it, love it. One thing that just popped in my head that I have heard, and I hope this doesn't sound bad, but I've had people ask, well, my only fear about the Philippines is sometimes a thicker accent. Like,
Mhm.
if they're speaking to somebody, now there's plenty of VA roles that I know that nobody's speaking to anybody. They're just, doing computer work, helping you with your Zoom, recording things, social media. But do you work on that as well? If you know they're going to be doing answering phones, for example?
Oh yes, definitely. That's why the first thing that I usually do is really get into a call with our partner clients and ask them, what are the specific tasks you're thinking that this VA would do? Is she going to cold call people, or is she going to answer as a customer service representative of some sort, or is she going to answer calls on your behalf when people call you? What exactly is it that they're going to do? Because if they're going to answer, or they're going to talk to people, or sometimes we even have like training assistants, so they help train, right? So they need to talk to Americans or or people in Western countries, then we recruit. We have a higher standards of recruitment. But at a minimum, there is what we call FSET. It's an English proficiency test. It's a standardized test for all non-native English speakers, and we only hire people with C2 and C1. Those are the two highest levels of mastery in English. That means that they don't only know how to speak English, but they speak and master business English, because those two are very different.
True. Gosh, yeah, I hadn't even thought of that, but you're right. Absolutely different, two different things. Love it. And I love that you go that step further, making sure, yeah, everybody's going to be happy on both sides. Yeah, love that. That's so great. So, so great. Wonderful. Is there anything else that I didn't touch on before we jump into your other company that you think sets CoWorq apart from your competitors? I would love our listeners to know that.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I have had the same statement that you had earlier. I had I had a fellow entrepreneur came up to me one day in a networking event and say, "Hey, why do you charge more?" And I just told them that, we are not for everybody, and that's totally okay. Not everybody will be my client, because I'm here for people who are purpose driven. If you look at our website, it says purpose-driven outsourcing for purpose-driven businesses. And all of my partner clients, thankfully, they don't look at they consider the price, but the price is not the entirety of it, because it's not only a case where we are a good match to you. You should also be a good match to us, because I have had clients before who only sees our virtual assistants as cost saving opportunity, and that's it. They don't care about training our virtual assistants. They don't care about communicating with them. They don't even have weekly check-ins with them. And that's also one thing that I said as an HR professional. I have the thing that I have seen that Fortune 500 companies does really, really well versus companies that are not in that space is their ability to tie in their culture and people together. And the way you do that is you do regular communications, regular check-ins. You don't just give tasks to them. You give them the vision, like what is the vision of your company? What is the vision of your business? So that they can also own the vision and contribute. Purpose driven is super, super important. So, and we can't do that together if you only look at our VAs as like, okay, VA1, do task one, task two, task three. Okay, you're done for the day. Bye.
Right.
And
Almost
some
like a
people don't like
robot.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Almost
some
like
people
treating them
yeah,
like a robot. Yeah. And that's not right, in my
exactly.
opinion.
And
Yeah.
also another thing is that if you haven't been to the Philippines, when you're there, other than the climate, which is very hot, very hot and very rainy, it will feel like you haven't left the States, because everyone, even if they haven't graduated elementary school or grade school, speaks English. Our laws in the Philippines are written in English. Our street signs, public signs, everything is written in.
What?
So everybody knows how to speak English. It's
I did
literally.
not know that.
Yes,
Wow.
Filipino and English are our national languages. So
Wow, I think that's I feel like Mel Robbins now, listening to a podcast by Mel Robbins, and she was like, "What? What?" She was interrupting her guest, like, "What? You're blowing my mind right now." And actually, you are
yeah,
blowing my mind.
yeah,
Wow. How
very,
long has
very
this been
seamless.
going on?
It's a
Has
very
it
seamless integration. Yeah.
like the last 10, 20 years, do you think? Or do you think it's been recent about the
Well,
English over there?
quick history here. For 300 years,
Yeah,
for
please
300,
excuse my ignorance,
no
please, because
worries, you're not
I
ignorant.
okay, I just don't know. Yeah.
No, but for from 1500s to 1800s, the Philippines has been occupied by Spain. And then after that, for 30 years, we have been occupied by the Americans. For 3 years after that, we've been occupied by Japanese. But when the Japanese left after World War II, we've been good friends with the United States. Our constitution and bylaws are very similar to the American constitution and bylaws. That's why all of our laws are written in English. And
Oh.
there is what we call thomicides in the Philippines, where before, when the Americans are still occupying the Philippines, there were English teachers teaching Filipinos how to speak English, and that culture never left until now. So a grade school student, or a taxi driver in the Philippines who haven't finished college can still speak to you in fluent English, and with a smile,
Wow.
because we're the most hospitable people on earth.
I love it. I really did not know that. I think that's eye-opening and wonderful. Wow, that's really incredible. And so, in other words, like if you want to spend what John and I love to do is go to countries and
Yeah,
spend our dollars in other countries to, yes, we have a great time, but to help them because we've been entrepreneurs our whole life. And so that just tells me other entrepreneurs should be going to the Philippines because I hear it is drop dead gorgeous. Yes, it might be hot, but stunningly beautiful.
yeah,
So go vacation there because you won't
yeah.
have to worry about language barrier,
No,
Americans. So,
a funny story too is
wow.
my husband. Before I met him, he was traveling to Southeast Asia, and he was deciding between Thailand or the Philippines. And the reason he chose the Philippines is that the language. He knows that in Thailand, they don't, some of them
Right.
speak English, but not as extensive as the Philippines. So, and it's the reason why, we have call centers in the Philippines. We have
Yeah.
nurses
Ah.
who had their nursing degrees in the Philippines, but they're still able to work as nurses here because the language is pretty much.
Wow, that makes total sense now that you're putting that all together, and I can't believe I didn't know that. Wow, amazing,
Yeah, go to
amazing.
the
How
Philippines,
cool.
guys. You love the beaches.
Yeah, that's awesome. I went to Australia and I was like, it's not
Oh,
that far,
no.
hop on another flight. So, oh, awesome. And you grew up there, right? Till the age
Yeah.
of what were you?
I
Um,
was there until I was 22. Yeah. And then
wow.
moved here when after that. So I've been here for around 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, and were you working for some of those, Fortune 500 companies while still in the Philippines, or did you
No,
do that when you got here?
I'm not sure if I told you this already. My
No, you haven't.
okay. Um, we are an example of a modern day dating story. We met on Tinder. We matched on Tinder the same day we had our first date. And then after our first date, he proposed to me. And the rest is history now. Now I'm here, but I never planned on leaving
Oh,
at
you
all.
weren't gonna leave. You weren't gonna
No,
leave.
no. At that time, I was thinking of going to my mom in Dubai because she's living there with my stepdad. And there is a there. This is also what goes back to Philippines being an English speaking country, there was a volunteer opportunity in France to teach English. And there's a lot of Filipino teachers who teach English there. So I was trying to consider like I need a change of phase in my life. So I was either going to my mom in Dubai or going to France. And then I met my
Right.
husband, which made me detour all of the plans. But
Those husbands. That's true. That is awesome. What a great story. Oh my goodness.
Tinder
Quick.
works.
Yeah, and we were talking at an event. We were at a big gala, Khryzza and I was showing, my husband and I are the female white with the Asian guy version, and I was showing a picture, and I said, "This is you guys, but just reverse sexes, right?" And we were joking about that. But talk about husbands, Khryzza. My husband detoured my career too. I was a dance
Oh,
major at UC Irvine, and my plan was to go to Broadway and audition. But I met him junior year on a blind date, so it's almost like Tinder because it's
yeah.
you're someone else you don't know. Anyway, we fell in love, and he's like, "Don't go away, I'll pay you." And he had his own business at the time,
Oh,
and he's all, "I'll pay you whatever the biggest dance." Job you were going to land would pay you. I know it's so funny. So, but he cut. I had all these plans too. So that's so funny.
oh my God. Look at
Um,
very
but
similar.
yeah, very, very, very. And Dubai. Have you been to Dubai to visit your mom? I'm
Yeah.
sure, right? That was
Yes, we've been there
gorgeous.
twice.
Yeah,
It's very
we
fun.
just went. Yes,
Oh, what did you do
and
there?
we went, our son was competing. He's on Team USA. I don't know if I've told you this. He's an Olympic weightlifter. Yeah, he's
Oh,
been part of Team USA. You have to requalify every year, but
mhm.
so many years. He's 34 now, 33, 34. Anyway, since he went to UCLA and right after that, so like 12 years he's been competing, but he's still the top of the top. In fact, he just qualified for nationals, but we were going to see him compete a year ago in Qatar, and we took a quick trip to Dubai for like 24 hours. It was crazy. The
Yeah.
most fun we've ever had, though. And one secret thing that we noticed about Dubai, we loved it. We loved the people. We loved it all. But there's a lot of smog. Like, people don't talk about the
No.
haze that is right. They don't ever talk about that. So I know we're
Mm.
going off on a tangent, but it is amazing. Anyway,
It's
but
amazing. And also a lot of cultures there. You have Emiratis, you have
yes.
Filipinos, you have Indians, you have Chinese, you have British. Also, there's a lot of British
Yes.
there. There's also Americans there. It's everyone
Very
in the world.
cosmopolitan, right?
It
Yeah,
is.
very. It was amazing. We stayed at a hotel that had a rooftop pool or an infinity pool on the
Yeah.
52nd floor, and it was
Oh, that's
staring at that tall. What is that tallest building? I forget the
Burj.
name.
There's two
Yeah,
birds, well, Arab and Burj Khalifa. So
Khalifa, Burj
Khalifa.
Khalifa. We stared at it from the rooftop hotel. I have the best footage for social media that I've used, but I wish I'd go back. But yeah, we will go back someday because the people were amazing. Yeah, for sure. But that's cool. Your mom's there. It is. It is, but it's worth going for sure. Okay, so CoWorq, amazing, love it. But then what led, I'm assuming, oops, I just heard a beeping.
That's
Oh,
fine.
okay.
Sorry.
Isla and Co. And I'm going to have you tell, well, I was going to read what Isla and Co. is, and then you could tell us some more. But I'm assuming this also came from your heart. Actually, CoWorq is a labor of love, I'm sure, too, but same with Isla and Co. So let me read what Isla and Co. is all about: a fashion for good brand partnering with Filipino artisans to preserve cultural craftsmanship and secure fair wages in a global billion-dollar fashion industry where artisans are frequently underpaid. Wow, there's a recurring theme here. By
Mhm.
blending modern design with traditional techniques, Isla & Co. transforms handmade artistry into global luxury while uplifting communities. I know what it is, but can you tell everybody even more? We know it's fashion, but what type of
Yeah.
fashion?
Yeah. So if you remember, the reason why I had we created CoWorq is because a lot of our Filipino VAs got paid as $1 an hour. But for our Filipino artisans, it's actually much worse than that. They earn as low as $1 a day. And in the Philippines, that is very, very low. That is below poverty line. And a lot of Filipino artisans still remain that way until today. The reason why I created that is that, first of all, I love fashion. I love earrings. I love everything. Purses, like tops, dresses, clothes. I love everything. But there are two things that really pushed me to create my own brand and support, Filipino artisans. There is that when I moved here to the US, I Googled, okay, Filipino brands, Filipino handmade bags, handmade earrings, whatever. And I stumbled upon this brand, and it's a very luxurious brand. It looks beautiful. They claim that it's made in the Philippines, and I can tell it's made in the Philippines because of there are certain materials that you can only find in Southeast Asia. And there is a certain tribe that is only in the Philippines, and they advertise it as that. And what led me to this belief is that they sell their purses for $200 each for one purse. And I was like, oof, that is very expensive for me. I am a corporate slave at that time. And I
Right,
was supporting
right.
people, but that's too much. And then I researched more about the tribe because that is a very popular tribe in the Philippines. They are known for their weaving. And I had my friends and my business partners in the Philippines there to, really look for artisans, really look for stories of artisans. And we concluded that if you really sell this purse for $200 a purse, why are your artisans still below the poverty line? Because
Yeah.
$200 a purse is very expensive.
It
And
is. It
not
is.
giving it back to the community who creates it, they should at least be living comfortably, because otherwise you're just using them for marketing and PR
Mhm.
to lift your brand up. You're not really serving the community. So I look for more artisans. My friends also helped me in this journey with me for one long year. The whole 2024, we just look for more artisans. um, we interviewed a bunch of them. We interviewed different artisans all over the Philippines because, for those who don't know, Philippines is composed of 7,107 islands. So it's a
That
it's a
I did know. That I knew. It was a lot of islands. I didn't, but I knew it was a ton. Yeah.
also very multicultural. There's different tribes in the Philippines with different weaving designs, different weaving techniques. And I came across with this family of artisans, and they are a very humble family, both financially and socially and mentally. Um, And this is a family of artisans who created these amazing bags, amazing earrings, not because they like fashion like I do, but they made these bags because that's the only source of livelihood that they have. They create bags out of what we call pandan leaves. It's one of the most common leaves that you can find in that specific region in the Philippines, which is Negros. It's in the middle of the Philippines. And through decades of doing that by hand and by foot, because pandan leaves are very sturdy, it's not malleable, it's not foldable easily. That's why they have to use their hand and their foot. Through that, they send their kids to school. They made a shack that they call home right now. And our job really, when I look at them and when I look at their products, I'm like, we can help you get bigger, and you deserve way more than what you guys have now. You deserve a
Love
bigger
that.
house for your family. You deserve a
Yeah.
rest day, because they haven't had a rest day in decades, because that's
Oh,
what
you're
they're doing.
kidding.
So what I just did is I partnered with them. We designed things with them. I gave them like, okay, this is probably what would sell in America. This would,
Right.
for example, as simple as zippers. Purses having zippers is a must. Or having like relaxed.
Yes. I
Right.
noticed that about your zippers. I was impressed because a lot of
Exactly.
the, bags similar don't have zippers. So I
No.
noticed that yeah, I noticed.
And also like for example, I bring my laptop with me everywhere I go. That's a must have for me, because that's my business in a laptop.
Yes.
So it has to fit a laptop, or it has to fit an iPad, whatever. So those are the things that,
Yes.
to me, because my target market is a woman leader, a woman entrepreneur, a woman corporate leader. So whatever it is that I need personally, because I'm looking at myself as my target market, I relay it to them. They create their version of it, and we create it together. We take care of logistics and everything. So that's basically the birth of Isla. It's also
Oh,
hard too, as what you said.
I love it. And I love that you clarified because I didn't know that. I knew the zippers. I didn't know iPad and laptop can fit in there. So I'm going to
Yeah.
go back to your website. And look, and by the way, I know it's going to be in the show notes, but what is the website? Maybe a listener wants to like log on right now. What's the website for Isla and
Yeah.
Co?
It's sayhelloisla.co, not .com, .co.
Perfect, because
Yeah.
the name, yeah, I love that.
Say
So
hello, Isla.
say hello, Isla, ISLA should
Mhm.
be easy. It is
Yeah.
easy.
Yep.
Dot co,
Yep.
right? Love that. Oh my gosh, because that's me too. I travel a ton, and my purse has to fit my iPad, especially for planes. I don't always bring my laptop, but
Yeah.
now with the movies having to be on your phone or your iPad, I want to look on an iPad instead of a little tiny phone. So, oh, that's so cool. And is it one family, linear family, like so just a mom and a dad and their kids, or is
They're an
it?
extended family. So in our website too, if you go there, we have videos of them creating the process of,
Oh,
from harvesting the leaves to drying the leaves to, because it's a very lengthy process.
yeah.
And it's an extended family. There's aunts and uncles, and not just the mom and dads, the sisters as well, the cousins. The whole family creates
Wow.
it. The
I
bags, the
love
wooden
it.
handles, everything.
I love the wooden handles. I think they're just beautiful. And the price, you guys, if you're listening, it's not $200. They're not
Oh, how cool!
$200. And so what is the top end price? Like your
The top
highest
end
price?
price, the highest price is $55, and those
Oh
are for
my
our
gosh.
biggest person.
Okay. So 55 down to, I know you have little coin
Yes,
purses, little,
yeah.
yeah.
The price version is $5, which you can fit your earpods,
Oh
your lip
yeah.
balm, your lipstick,
Yeah.
whatever.
Love
Yeah.
it. Yeah. So you guys
Those
check
are
that
cool.
out and know that you're doing a good thing too when you're purchasing. It's going back to a great family in the Philippines. I really love that. I'm so glad I had you on here to learn more on our podcast, to learn more. I already knew a little, but this has been amazing, amazing,
You
amazing.
know, this has also been inspired by the former CEO and chairman of PepsiCo, Indra Nooyi. What she said is that purpose is not corporate social responsibility. It's very different. Corporate social responsibility means if you purchase a bag from us, $1 will go to a family of artisans, blah blah blah. That's corporate
Right.
social responsibility. But purpose driven business is involving that community in every facet of your business, from creation to production to everything. It's not just, what she basically said is, purpose is how you make your money, not spending the money you already made, because that's donation, that's charity. And the way we can change and uplift communities so that we can lift them up from the poverty line is not by charity. It's really by taking them, making them part of the system so that they can also make their lives better, scale their businesses, and make it bigger. So that's probably one thing that because sometimes when people look at purpose-driven business, they always think about, oh, okay, if I buy, I donate. It's not donation. It's we build our business literally around them. Like we take them
Right.
in every part of the business. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, that really is. It really is. And it reminds me, as you were talking about all of that, John and I took our kids to Africa when they were really little, on a photo safari. Well, they weren't that little. They were like 11 and 12. So they remember everything to this day. Now they're 35 and 34. They remember, and we were blown away in Africa in the poorest areas, everybody listening. The poorest of the poorest of the poor, but instead of going like this on the street corner, with nothing to offer but just give me money, please.
Yeah.
They had made something. And if they didn't work, they didn't eat, was the mentality. And as entrepreneurs, we respect that 100%. And so that's what it kind of reminds me of. They're not asking you to give a handout. No, you're helping them build their business. They're willing to work and work hard, longer hours than most people in North America are willing to work, right? And so, yeah, it's just a way bigger philosophy when you're purchasing. You're kind of giving them a vote of confidence too in their business and themselves. In my
And you
opinion,
give them that dignity
so
in work. It's not when you said earlier, Vicky, that you are giving them the vote of confidence. I was saying that you are also giving them that dignity of their work and the agency that they mean something and that they can create something. So, and that's very important
yes.
because it's not all handouts, it's not all
Yeah.
charity. Dignity is very, very important.
It's so true. Absolutely. I'm with you. 100% dignity is so important for the human soul.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, oh my gosh, this has been so much fun. I have loved getting to know you. Is there anything else? I guess we should talk about CoWorq's website. I know it'll be in the show notes, but before we wrap everything up, I want people to know how to find you for CoWorq too.
Yes.
So,
Just like my name, it's a little hard to spell. Well, I like unique things, but it's CoWorq.co, CoWorq.co. You'll find amazing resources there. We actually have an assessment. So if this is your first time hiring a virtual assistant, you're not sure what to delegate, what task to give to a virtual assistant, but the only thing you're sure of is that you need help, but you don't know which kind of help that you need. That assessment is for you because a lot of business owners, they always tell me I'm overwhelmed, I need help. But when I ask them like, well, what kind of help do you need? They're like,
exactly.
I just know I need help. Well, I'm like, let's clarify that a little
I
bit.
was going to say, we need to be more clear. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So that assessment will help them get more
Yeah.
clear, right? Yeah, I love that. Great. Oh my gosh. So CoWorq, C-O, one more time, WORQ.co. Go there, check it out. I highly recommend Khryzza. You guys you're also Khryzza, a woman of your word. And that goes a long way for me in the business world. When you say you're going to be there, you're there. I've never seen you be a no-show. I see you show up with bells on, as we say, just a smile from ear to ear, great attitude. So I can only imagine that your people, that your team is the same, right? You attract who you are. So if you want people that are going to bring joy into your life, that are going to help you with your business, I highly recommend CoWorq. And this has been so much fun. Can't wait. We'll have to have you back on because I'd love to chit chat about so many more things, but I really do think we're out of time. If any of you have learned something from this episode, or you've been talking to a business owner friend and they were just complaining about not having enough time in their life, share this episode with them. Go ahead, click share, send it their way. That way they know about CoWorq. They know about Khryzza Kelley, and they can take advantage of everything she has to offer. And also, we just did an episode on Memorial Day and police families. And because that's John and I, as most of you know, and we encouraged you to support local police businesses, or not just local, but global. Well, that's what I think with Khryzza. Support a young entrepreneur. She's only 28. Sorry to call it, but I think I know you don't feel young, but a lot of people listening are like, wow, good for her, having 2 businesses already, successful woman of the year or business of the year. Support her, support local, small business is what I'm trying to spit out. Not so eloquently, right? It goes a long way instead of supporting those big corporations. So thank you, Khryzza. It's been so much fun having you on. Everything's going to be in the show notes once again. Give us a review. We would love that. Share with all of your friends, and we can't wait to see you on the next episode. Thanks, Khryzza. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vicki. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on Dig the Well.
We hope you feel empowered and ready to take on new challenges.
Remember, if we can do it, so can you. Keep learning, keep believing, and going after your dreams.
And if you enjoyed this episode, share it with someone who needs a little inspiration or maybe a nudge in the right direction.
Help us grow this community of go-getters. Together, we can achieve greatness and get back to family.
Thanks for listening, and let's keep digging the well.